A winter wonderland reached some unusual places this year. Hi there, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another Plain English lesson, this time number 345. I'm Jeff. JR is the producer, and the full lesson is available at plainenglish.com/345. Coming up today, if you live in Madrid, Jerusalem, or Texas, then you've experienced a snowy winter, and that can be good or that can be bad. Today, we'll talk about the snowfall that has reached some unlikely places here so far this year. The expression is resort to, and JR has a song of the week. Winter storm Filomena hit Madrid in January and dumped 1.5 feet of snow on the Spanish capital over a 3-day span. It was the most snow they had seen in central Spain in half a century, and it shut down transportation in and out of the city. The airport closed, trains halted, and over 12,000 miles of roads were either closed or blocked. Pictures showed Madrileños exploring the Gran Via on cross-country skis, having snowball fights in Plaza Mayor, and making snow angels on the side of the highways. 2,000 people had to be rescued from cars stuck in the snow. The city ordered 3,500 tons of salt just for the occasion. The military helped clear the roads and spread the salt. The snow fell from a Friday through a Sunday. Schools and many businesses were closed through at least Wednesday. The Israeli capital, Jerusalem, awoke on February 18th to a blanket of snow covering their ancient city. Observers of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam plodded through the accumulating snow on their way to morning services, while children threw snowballs, many of them seeing the white stuff for the first time. Monuments like the ancient wall and the Dome of the Walk took on an exciting new look as they were draped in white. It was such a spectacle that people drove from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem that morning just to see the snowfall. It was the first time snow had fallen in Jerusalem in 6 years. Elsewhere, snow fell in Syria, Jordan, Libya, and Lebanon. There's something magical about the pure joy on the face of a small child or a dog playing in the snow for the first time. But perhaps the best pictures came from Saudi Arabia as camels rested on a blanket of white as snow fell all around them. And most recently, the American South experienced their coldest temperatures and biggest snow in years. States like Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Louisiana, even northern parts of Mexico, usually areas with comfortable weather even in winter, they were covered in snow and ice and plagued by record low temperatures. At one point, over 70% of the land area in the United States was covered by snowfall, an astounding total. But unlike the snowfall in Madrid and Jerusalem, this storm caused real widespread suffering. over 30 people died from the cold. Millions of people were left without power, heat, and water. The low temperatures, well below freezing, continued for days. Many people in these regions don't have the kind of blankets, winter clothes, and equipment needed to stay warm in a house without power in below freezing temperatures. The occasional snowfall in a warm weather area is fun and exciting. But if too much snow falls, it can be dangerous. In the American South, for example, most homes are not insulated against the cold. So if the outside temperature drops, the temperature inside homes drops quickly. Heating systems have to work extra hard since the heat they produce is often lost quickly. This caused an overload of the Texas power grid, resulting in power cuts. Some residents resorted to unsafe practices like heating their homes with their gas ovens, running cars in their garages, and even building fires in makeshift fireplaces indoors, all things that can kill you. Roads are dangerous too. In places where snow is common, governments maintain fleets of vehicles and stores of salt to treat the roads. But where snow is less common, there aren't enough trucks available to clear the roads. Madrid had to import the salt needed to improve traction on its roads. It takes some skill to drive in the snow too. Many drivers overestimate their abilities to drive in snowy weather. It's easy to lose control of a car, drive off the road, or get stuck in a dangerous situation. The only thing colder than the temperatures in Texas was the icy response to one of the state's 2 United States senators. When the bad weather hit, he hopped on a plane with his 2 daughters and went to Cancun. Not a good look. Even here in Chicago, people overestimate their abilities to drive in the snow. Our biggest snow of the year was about a foot this year, and even here, a foot of snow is a lot. We've had more, but it's a big snowstorm. I was out shoveling the sidewalk in front of my apartment building and saw someone driving, or trying to drive anyway, a Honda Fit. A Honda Fit is a small car. If you have a Honda Fit, you have no business driving on the side streets until they're cleared of snow. Well, this guy obviously got stuck in the middle of the road, blocking everyone else from getting through. So another neighbor and I had to push this guy's car the entire block until he got up to a main road. So it's not only the drivers in the South who struggle with driving in the snow. If you're not used to it, the best advice is to just wait until it melts, or at least until the snowplows come to the streets by your house. It was good exercise for me, though, pushing that car. Today's expression is resort to. Some of you know the word resort. It's like a hotel with a lot of amenities. That's not what we mean here. We're talking about desperate measures. When you do something you don't want to do, but you have to do it anyway because you're desperate. Here's how you heard it. Some freezing residents of Texas resorted to unsafe practices to stay warm. They built fires in their homes. They sat in their cars in the garage to stay warm, and they turned their ovens on full blast and opened the oven door. These are all dangerous ideas. The people doing these things, however, were desperate. Texas is not prepared for these kinds of temperatures. The homes are not well insulated. People don't have backup generators often. Many don't have the blankets they would need to stay warm at night. Imagine having to sit at home with no hot water, no power, indoor temperatures around freezing. They were desperate. They didn't want to try to warm up with the oven, but they thought they had to. This is the kind of situation where we use resort to. We say resort to plus the behavior, usually with an ing verb. Some people resorted to turning their ovens on to warm up. Other people resorted to starting a fire inside their homes. Still others resorted to warming up in their cars in the garage. Resort to plus an ing verb. In the early days of COVID, they were having a hard time getting medical N95 masks in the Boston area. The local government resorted to sending a private plane to China to pick up N95 masks. This was pretty desperate. Hospitals should be able to place orders through normal channels or rely on government purchases to get the equipment they need. But there just wasn't enough. So the owner of the local football team resorted to sending his team's plane to China to bring masks back to Massachusetts. These were examples where people were truly at risk and desperate, but it can apply to situations where you're forced into doing something you don't want to do. The grocery business is competitive. When people shop for their favorite foods, they watch the prices carefully. This can make it hard for food manufacturers to raise prices if their costs go up. So some companies resort to playing tricks on consumers. They reduce the size of the package and keep the price the same. Or they increase the size of the package a little and increase the price even more. The companies would probably rather just adjust prices up and down, but they can't do that without risking a customer backlash. So they resort to these kinds of tricks with pricing and packaging. When GameStop's stock was on its wild ride, several popular stock trading apps resorted to imposing trading restrictions on their customers. It's too complicated to explain here, but the brokers simply couldn't process more trades. They didn't want to cut their customers off from trading, but they had no choice. They resorted to imposing curbs on GameStop's stock. Believe me when I say there was nothing that Robinhood wanted less than to block their customers from trading in GameStop stock, but they had to do it. Their customers were furious, many of them. The CEO had to explain himself in front of Congress, but because of the plumbing behind stock trades, they needed to slow down the volume of trades. So it was a situation where they didn't have a choice. This was a bad option, but it was their only option. So we say they resorted to restricting trades by customers. Today's song of the week is Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo. It's a brand new song. It came out just in January. JR likes the classics, but he also has his finger on the pulse of pop culture at all times. I'm not sure how it is in other countries, but getting your driver's license at age 16 or 17 is one of the biggest moments in a teenager's life. I will never forget my driver's test. I will never forget going to get the license. I will never forget the feeling I had the first time I drove in a car by myself. Well, this song is about a girl who drives around suburbia by herself shortly after getting her driver's license. She has split up with a boy, and the boy was the one who encouraged her to get her license. Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo is the song of the week and broke all kinds of records. Olivia Rodrigo is 18 years old, and she is the youngest artist to have a Billboard #1 hit in the United States. Her song set the record for the most single-day streams on Spotify, too. So congratulations to her, and thanks to JR for selecting Driver's License as the song of the week. And that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Thanks again for spending part of your week with us. It is such a privilege to be part of your English journey. I mean that. Remember, we have even more to explore at plainenglish.com/345, and we'll be right back here on Monday.